Handicapper Steve here, handicapping the racing from Pimlico Racecourse here on Friday. It is the 16th of May, 2025. It's Black Eyed Susan Pimlico Special Day from Pimlico, and we're going to look at the stakes races. But before I get on to that, remember to please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kid 5 for more selections for race courses around the world, and I mean it around the world. Let's look at the stakes action here, races 8 through 13. So it's all conveniently packed. And all stakes pick six if we want to play it. Let's get to the eighth race now from Pimlico, which is the Allaire Dupont Distaff. It's going for a $125,000 purse race for fillies, mares, 3-year-olds, and upwards here. We have a field of 8 horses going 1,800 meters or a mile and the eighth here in the Allaire Dupont. I'm going to go with the number 6 horse, Pigeon Noir, as top selection. I'm going to go 6-3-1-5 in the superfecta. 6-3-1-5 super, top selection 6 horse Pigeon Noir. This 4-year-old fiddler Mendelssohn, Rudolph Brissett trains, Flavian Pratt gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently on the 7th of April at Keeneland, a mile 16th off turf in a launch race for 135,000. She only had 3 other rivals, but she flew off on the front and won by 7 1/4 lengths with Lasix and blinkers on that day for the first time. She basically won easily on letting her go. That was a good run. I hope they let her go here today. It's not the world's toughest stakes race. She's definitely run buyers even against, little subpar horses. She's run buyers that definitely keep up with these quality horses today. Not quality, but you know what I mean. She ran 2 back in the Trifecta Stakes at Oakland, mile 16, 23rd of February, and she finished third by 6.5 lengths that day. And she sat on the front end saying a little bit too fast fractions to that half, which probably cost her. Kind of yielded late. What can you do? She just ran a little bit too fast that day. And then the wayward last at Tampa over the mile 16th in January, finishing second by 1/4 lengths that day. From the inside, she just needed a little bit more ground. I thought she was a little bit flat that day. And then she ran the Fall City where she got outclassed by the others, finishing seventh by 14 1/4 lengths. It just wasn't her day to win. If you look over her races last fall, she won a very nice mile in the eighth optional 80 at Churchill back in November quite nicely, and won again at Keeneland on the front end quite easily in October. Also, refreshing here, training well in Kentucky. I'm going to give her a shot on the ticket against these quality horses. The 3-horse Candied could win also for Todd and Irad. Was a winner most recently, the Lady Secret last summer at Monmouth over the mile 70 or mile 16, where she won by 4 1/4 lengths. Another race, 3 other rivals. She came home clear from coming from the back of the pack. Since then, she hasn't found the winner's circle, but she's running good races. Like I thought she ran terrifically, and behind Power Squeeze in last year's Alabama, where she just mislaid. Just a little bit flat behind Automatic in the Spinster and the Breeders' Cup Distaff, but came back to an okay third in the Double Dog Dare, which came up quite tough this year. I think refreshing here. Second off the bench against these quality horses, she could find the winner circle. We'll definitely use her in the pick 4 or the pick 6 here. But to recap my selects for the eighth now from Pimlico, it's the Allaire to put to staff. Going to take the 6-horse Pigeon Noir, give kudos to the 3-horse Candied, 6-3-1-5 Super, 6-3 in the multi race. The ninth race now from Pimlico, it is the Hilltop Stakes. It's going for a $125,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies here. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,600 meters or a mile on the turf course here in the Hilltop. Gonna go with the 8-horse Obasante as the top selection. 8-6-2-9 for me in the superfecta. 8-6-2-9 super. Top selection 8-horse Obasante. This 3-year-old field by Into the Mischief. Tom Fletcher trains getting John Velasquez up in the saddle. The horse's most recent outing came 10th of April at Gulfstream, mile and a main special weight for 43,000. The horse won by 2 1/4 lengths that day, and he sat back early, was stupidly wide, and never changed the lead in the lane, but he flew him clear. Wasn't the world's toughest race, but it was still a good run. He's going to have to not be so green and not, have a lot of, freshman outing antics. Coming here, stakes quality horses. I think he's drawn well. Again, not the world's deepest race. I think this is a perfect spot for him. They finally get the stakes winning check. First time winners also. He ran on debut 15th February at Gulfstream, 5 furlongs in main special weight. Over a shorter trip, I just don't think this horse is a sprinting horse. Finished 5th by 5 1/4 lengths that day and just kind of stalked and never quickened up. Like I said, he wants more ground. Since his last race, he's training quite nicely at Belmont, the train track, half mile 49 2, the 87th best workout of 87, 187. And then a half mile a week prior in Palm Beach down Florida, 50 flat, third best workout 5. I think coming here back to turf, I think this horse could win. I think the 6-horse Pretty Lavish for Irad and Graham can win also. Was a winner in optional 75, 2 back going the mile Tampa. Quite impressively by night. Coming from the back of the pack, Irad rode timed the race perfectly. He got there in nick of time. A very good run. He came back to run the Florida Oaks after that on the 8th of April, the mile 16th at Tampa, where she finished 8th by 11 lengths, where she just didn't show up, was wide and just never really into it. I think some time between races coming here to Pimlico, where Grand Motion has very good numbers in the past. I think this horse could win. We'll use her on the ticket. But to recap my selection now for the ninth from Pimlico, it is the Hilltop. We're going to take the 8 horse Obasante. Give kudos to the 6 horse Pretty Lavish, 8629 Super, 8-6 in the multi race. Let's head over to race number 10. 10th race from Pimlico. It is the Miss Preakness Stakes. It's a grade 3 event going for $150,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies here. We have a field of 13 horses, a baker's dozen, going 1,200 meters or 6 furlongs in the Miss Preakness. I'm going to go with the number 8 horse Echo Sound as top selection, 8-12, 6-10 for me in the superfecta, 8-12, 6-10 super. Top selection 8 horse Echo Sound, 3-year-old filly by Echo Town. George Arnold trains, Luis Saez gets the mount. They ran the horse in late November at Churchill, 6.5 furlongs in the Ferns Creek Stakes, and the horse finished second by 2.25 lengths, and he sat back early. He really moved his way into the race. He just missed late. Impulse by just had the jump on him, but he got around the race course well. I think back to 6 here, coming off the bench, where George Arnold, not great numbers at all off the bench, but I think this horse is a good enough horse to change those numbers today and find the trip to the winner's circle. Also, was facing very tough horses in Kentucky. I don't think this race nearly as tough, and I think he could find the winner's circle a lot easier today. Ran 2 back in the Myrtle Wood at Keeneland, 6 furlongs, 25th of October, winning by 2.25 lengths from a tracking trip. She was lugging in a little bit in the lane, but she still came home clear. An 84 buyer that could definitely win the race here. That was a good, easy run. And then Ops 100 at Churchill over the 6 back in late September, mid September, winning by 1.5 lengths from a tracking trip. Again, she got the job done quite nicely, and then she broke on her maiden on debut at Ellis, going 3/4 back in August, won by 3/4 length from a tracking trip. She did just that to win a very, very good run. She's coming into this race quite nicely with some good workouts at Keeneland. I'm going to give her a shot on the ticket. I think the 12 horse here, Vaca with Twist from Mike Smith and Phil Diamato, coming from the West Coast, cutting back a trip, should be a likely winner also. She just ran the Santa Anita Oaks most recently, and she just wasn't catching Tema, who just really took off clear. Prior to the Starlet, she just didn't want to go 2 turns. Her best races have been all over the sprinting trip. Her most recent victor came in debutante at Churchill's closing week last summer of the 6th, where she won by 3 lengths. After that, she had a great place in the Sorrento, very good place in the Del Mar debutante, and then, in the Breeders' Cup, she just didn't want to go the 2 turns. I love her coming back to a 1-turn race. She's training well into this one. 72 with Mike up. It doesn't bother me with the wide poster either. I'd rather have the outside poster than the rail in this race. I also think the 6-horse Stunner from Brad Cox and Flavien Cohen also. There's been the bridesmaids most recently. And the forward gal had a very good place behind Eclatante. Good place behind Verify and the Verity in the Beaumont a few weeks ago on the Slav at Keeneland. When attempted as a 2-year-old, broke her main up Aqueduct quite nicely. I'm going to give her a shot also cutting back in trip here at 4-1. I know it's not the best price in the world, but she's drawn well. I think she could win this race. Actually, I think she's going to go off the paper in this race, but we'll have to see at post time. But to recap my selection now for the 10th from from Pimlico, it is the Miss Preakness. Going to go take the 8 horse here, Echo Sound. Give kudos to the 12 horse Vaca with the Twist and 6 horse Stunner. 8-12, 6-10 Super, 8-12, 6 in the multi race to the 11th. The 11th race from Pimlico, it is the DeVary 1 Stakes. It's going for a $100,000 purse race for fillies mares, 3-year-olds and upwards. We have an actually not an oversubscribed field of horses, but 14 horses were entered here. The 3 and 10 are MTO, so 12 will head to the turf course, the 1,000-meter journey, or 5 furlongs here in the DeVary 1. Let's see the outside gate to the 14 horse Accomplished Girls, the top selection. 14.926 for me in the superfecta. 14.926 super. Top selection of 14 horse Accomplished Girl. This 5-year-old mare by Street Boss. Steve Asmussen trains. Paco Lopez gets the mount. They ran the horse most recently Keeneland on 13th of April. 5.5 in the Grade 3 Giants Causeway Stakes. And he finished 8th by 8 lengths that day. And he just stalked and didn't show up. Not the world's best race. It just was against tougher horses also. I think refreshing here to the Mid-Atlantic, where she could find pace from the outside poster. I think she's going to be in a better spot to win than she was last time out. She ran 2 back in the Mardi Gras at Fairgrounds, 5.5 on the 4th of March, and finished 3rd by 1.5 lengths, and she was with them dueling on early on in the front, and she just kind of yielded late. What can you do? She just couldn't stay the 5.5. And then prior to that, in a black type over the 5.5 at Fairgrounds, she won by 3/4 length from a tracking trip. She really came home clear. If you look at over her races, I think the 5 furlong races are a little bit few and far between. But she's done well in them. But I do wish this race was just a little bit longer at 5.5. But her form has recently, since coming to the Asmussen Barton, has been very good, and she's definitely improving a lot. Getting Paco up, who's a very good speed rider, will probably send her. If she breaks on top, it's going to be hard to catch her. I'm going to use her as a top selection. think the 9 horse here, we can just flip the page. The 9 horse, Loon Cry for Flavian and Christoph Cohen also hasn't been seen since the autumn last year at Aqueduct over the 6 in the autumn days, where she finished fifth by 7.5 lengths that day, where she just was wide, never really getting into it. And wheels were spinning in the lane. Her two races at Aqueduct last fall, or most of her races at Aqueduct, just haven't been up to par. She ran prior to that in the Floral Park over the 6, where she finished fifth by 5.25 lengths. And then if you look at some of her races in the year prior, she did win a very nice allowance race in early November 2023 at Aqueduct. But after that, ran horribly 2 weeks after in the 100 days. I don't think Aqueduct's her favorite turf course. But when she comes to the Mid Atlantic, she actually won the Sensible Lady Turf Dash at Laurel with the 6 in September quite nicely, and then won, a very nice race, well, up north at Woodbine prior to that, on the E.P. Taylor Turf Course, and won before that again on the E.P. Taylor Turf Course at Woodbine over the 7/8. But I think coming here today has some forwardly pace. She wants to use it. I think coming from back to pack shouldn't be bad either. Again, 9 to 5, getting Flavian up. Not the best price in the world, but I think this horse can win. And I think the 2 horse Passerati for Brittany Russell and Simon Russell can win also. The races last season weren't bad at all in the Mid Atlantic region. Ran this race last year though, where she just never really got into it, but came back to run had a very good summer campaign by placing the Goldwood, placing in the Jamela, and then placing in the Andy Guest at Colonial against some very tough horses. Finally got the winning check in the Maryland Millions turf sprint at the end of the season. But I think come back to this turf course where this horse likes running on it. Only loss on this turf course was this race last year. I think she could find a trip to win. I'm going to use her on the ticket for this pick six ticket. But to recap my selection for the 11th from Pimlico, it's the very one stakes. Going to take the 14 horse Accomplished Girl. With kudos to the 9 horse Loon Cry and the 2 horse Brasserati. 14.926 Super. 14.92 in the multi race. Let's get to the feature 12th race now from Pimlico, which is a race very rich in history. It's one of my favorite races of the year. It is the Pimlico Special. It's a grade 3 event going for a $250,000 purse race for 3-year-olds and upwards. I wonder when the last time a 3-year-old ran in the Pimlico Special. Is there one this year? No. But we field 10 horses going 1,900 meters or mile 3/16 here in the Pimlico Special. I'm going to go with the number 8 horse, Star of Wonder. I'm going to go 8,391 in the superfecta. 8,391 Super, top selection 8 horse Star of Wonder, Called by Uncle Mo, Brad Cox trains, Flavian Pratt gets the mounts. They ran the horse most recently on the 4th of April at Aqueduct, a 1 turn mile and option lady claimer. It was a success for this horse. Won by half a length. He stalked all the way around the race course after not the best beginning, but he grinded it out to the wire and got the job done. 95 bar, not bad at all. I think coming back around 2 turns, but this horse definitely won around 2 turns. Should definitely get the trip well. I think he's going to be in a very good spot to win. He ran 2 back in optional 125 at Churchill, mile 16th in late November, and he won by a half a length that day. He stalked all the way around the race course. Again, not the best beginnings, but he got the job grinding it out to the wire. I thought that was a very good, gritty performance with an 89 buyer. And then prior to that, at Keelan over the mile and eighth and option 125, he just lost all chances going into that turn. He checked early on, and he was just never into it. It was very wide also. It just wasn't his day to win. He never really recovered. But I think coming here, a lot better horse since then. Since that, subpar race, his buyers have been going up. He's training nicely. I think you could stay this trip. It's a next logical step from allowance races to this kind of not the world's deepest grade 3. I think you could find a trip to win. I'm going to use him on the ticket. I have a stablemate Encino for Irad and Brad can win also. When they let this horse run in the front end, he does damage. He won the Lexington quite easily last spring at Keelan by 3 course length. Then you didn't see the horse for almost a year later, where he came back earlier this year at Fairgrounds over the mile 16th and option 80, where he won by a length again on the front end, getting a good trip to go away with it. And then he ran horribly in the Gulfstream Park mile. Over the 1 turn mile, he finished 7 by 21 lengths, where he just never was comfortable. He just it just wasn't his day to win. Then came back in the Kentucky Cup Classic, where he had a very good place by Mercante that day. Coming here today, he's training well. I'm gonna give him a shot here at 6-1 ticket. Even the 9 horse here at Red Route 1 for Stephen Paco. He's gonna need some bit of a pace meltdown, but he finally won the Essex Handicap 2 back at Oaklawn quite nicely. Just didn't do a lot of running in the Oaklawn Handicap, but if there's gonna be a closer winning, it wouldn't surprise me if he gets the job done. He had a sneaky good 4th in his race last year. I'll give him a shot here on the ticket. But to recap my selection for the 12th race from Pimlico, a race very rich in history, it's the Pimlico Special. Go watch Seabiscuit, the movie, to know why. I'm going to take the 3 horse Star of Wonder, give kudos to the 3 horse Encino and the 9 horse Red Route 1, 8,391 Super, 839 in the multi race. Let's head over to race number 13 now from Pimlico. Co-featured 13th race now from Pimlico. It is the Black-Eyed Susan Stakes. It's a Grade 2 event going for a $300,000 purse race for 3-year-old fillies. We have a field of 9 horses going 1,800 meters or a mile and eighth here in the Black-Eyed Susan. Gonna go take the 8-horse Amarth as a top selection, 8361 for me in the superfecta. 8361 super, top selection 8-horse Amarth. This 3-year-old filly by Mackenzie here. Eddie Keneally trains. Luis Saez gets the mount. Ran the horse against very tough competition, most recently in the Ashland at Keeneland, a mile 16, 7th of April, and finished fifth by 8 3/4 lengths that day, and he was just wide, never really getting into it. It wasn't the day to win. I think down in class here today against these quality horses, not the world's, it's definitely in the last 10 years, I think it's probably the lowest black-eyed Susan we had. I think from one outside trip, she could find an easy lead, and I think she could get away with it here today. I think she's in a more better spot than she was in the Ashland. That was a very tough race. She ran two back in the busher at Aqueduct, the 1 turn mile, first of March, first off the bench. She finished second by 3/4 lengths. She just kind of yielded before the wire, and she didn't get out of the gate so clearly, but she got around the race course okay. Not the worst race for her that day. She outran her 23-1 odds that day, definitely. And then prior to that, in the tappable at Fairgrounds over the mile 70, she finished 6 by 7 lengths that day, and she just had to steady a few times, never really getting into it. But other than that, she won a very nice November allowance race at Churchill over the mile 16 and broke the maiden over the 1 turn about 7 furlongs at Keeneland quite easily by 2 1/4 lengths, where she was a little bit wide, but she flew home clear. She's trading well coming to this one, coming here second off the bench, down in class, back to a mile in the eighth. She could win. I think the 3-horse here, Marge's Intention, Brad Cox and Flavien could win also. Have Flavien a lot today. This horse against state-bred horses at the fairground, she was Louisiana bred, was doing well. She won a very nice allowance race of the mile in February at the fairgrounds. Came back to run a very good place in the state-bred stakes race, and then Crescent City Oaks on closing weekend. She had a very good place behind Blue Fire, who this horse has been the bride to her last few outings. She's trading well since coming to the new barn at Churchill. 3-1. I'll give her a shot against these horses. First time against open quality. And even the 6-horse Paris Lily for Brendan Walsh and Joel Rosario won a very nice allowance race in the slot opening weekend at Keeneland. Prior to that, they tried her on the turf where she ran okay. I would try her again maybe in something like the Penn Oaks if that race is not coming up too quick. I think it is actually. But she ran okay, but her dirt efforts haven't been half bad. She's run the race I think fast enough to beat these horses also. At 8-1, I'll give her a shot on this very head scratcher, Black-Eyed Susan. It's they're all similar quality horses. It's not it's a grade 2 race. It's basically a listed race I think on paper this year. But it's going to be exciting to see this one. I think it's a little bit wide open. But to recap my selection for the 13th now from Pimlico, it is the Black-Eyed Susan. Gonna go take the 8-horse Amarth. Give kudos to the 3-horse Marge's Intention and the 6-horse Paris Lily. 8361 Super, 836. 10 off this pick six. So good luck to all. Please follow me on Twitter at Horse Racing Kit 5 for more selections for race courses around the world. And join me tomorrow for my Preakness preview from Pimlico.